Boy!
No.
Welcome back to another review from Ouroboros Collections. Today we'll be doing the Mondo 1/6 scale regular version of Kratos from the newest 2018 God of War. I absolutely love this game. It is by far one of my favorite games. To me, it's like one of the most well-rounded games I've ever played. The story, the gameplay, the graphics, just everything was so good. There's wholesome, there's violence, it's just awesome. If you haven't played it, I recommend playing it. There will be a few spoilers from this review then for the game if you guys haven't played it. Anyway, if you haven't played it, play it, at least watch a playthrough of it. It's amazing. Yeah, let's get on with the review. Alright, so here we have the beautiful box, and this figure really shines with the art box. I'm not all that into the art box, but it is always nice to have a look at them, you know? Sometimes you can display them behind the figure, which is pretty cool. But anyway, this is a really nice art box. You see, very weird color palette though, blue and red and yellow. Usually it's like red and white or red, white and black when it comes to Kratos. But anyway, so here it is. We've got a nice kind of Celtic, Nordic patterning over here with the two dragons at the base and the top there, kind of just mirrored. And then you got God of War with kind of looks like a spider web, doesn't it? And then it's blue, it's got some lines on it, and then a blue patterning on the top and the bottom. Very Nordic, I suppose, due to the fact that this is a Viking kind of style game. Then you've got God of War written on the side. You've got a little emblem up there, and the M for Mondo down there. Then you've got I don't know how to describe this kind of art style, but it's Kratos, you can see there, and then he's got the Leviathan axe in the back there, as well as the shield. Almost looks like a cartoony shine as well, that goes across the entire box, you know? Same kind of stuff at the top and bottom, small little marks. Looks nice, very cool. I do like this looks really pretty. Same thing on the sides. At the bottom, just nothing. At the top, we've got the God of War emblem, the dragon Omega symbol, pretty cool. And you take the sleeve off and it kind of gets a bit better. So here you can see it has runic marks on each side. I'm pretty sure that's the runes for each realm. And then it says God of War, Kratos, 1/6 scale collectible figure. See, it just carries on with the patterning on each side. And then this is really nice. I kind of wish this box would fit in my cabinets in the back so I can display Kratos in front of it. But here we have a summary of what you see in the game, you know? So you've got the handprint, which is in relation to Kratos' wife and Atreus' mother. You kind of follow that gold handprint almost right to the end of the game, or gold markings, which, yeah, spoiler alert, the mother puts up for Kratos and Atreus to follow to help guide their new journey. You've got this big statue of Thor here that you see in the game. Then you got the Jormungandr scale / body. You got woods. You got the realm travel. I forgot what they're called, but these are the things that you go to on the bridge to travel the world or the different realms. You got the highest peak in all the realms, or not the highest peak, but in Midgard at least, which is Earth. You got a boat down here with some water, which you use to travel a lot. You got a dragon up in the corner there, and a Kratos and Atreus down there, ready to start their journey. Really nice art box. Obviously there's a sleeve that opens up to display the figure. Not too sure what this means, but it's a really cool art design. And then you've got this dragon here, Celtic not dragon, or Norse not dragon, that's actually on my shirt. but yeah, and then you got this like ram here with the Looks like Yggdrasil, the world tree, and a nice little crest up top there too. Very cool, well done box, I do like it. Alrighty, here we go with all the accessories. This is one of my favorite parts about a figure, is all the accessories it comes with. As you can see, he gets a fair amount. Some not so good, some pretty good, and that's what we're here to find out. In advance, I apologize for any background noises, birds, cars. There's a slight humming due to the fan. It is extremely hot in my collection room right now. So I've got the window open, I've got the fan going. So hopefully that doesn't interfere too much with the video. Let's get to it. As you can see, you get 2 shields. One open, one closed. In the game, he does have a opportunity to open and close it, which is one of the cooler blocking mechanisms I've seen. It's practical, it's realistic, besides the fact that it does spring open. A few issues with it, but we'll get to that soon. You come with 2 Blades of Chaos, the Leviathan axe, 1 normal head sculpt, 1 screaming head sculpt. You get his small sheath and blade. The blade is mixed with Viking steel as well as greased steel, which is pretty cool. A little satchel that he carries everything in, like I mean everything. That's the one thing he goes to every time he picks something up. He just stuffs it in there, no matter how big, no matter how small, it goes in there. You have the bag where his wife Faye / spoiler alert, Laufey is in ashes to spread to the highest peak. You have the smartest man alive, Mimir, and he has the answer to every question that you might have. You get 3 sets of hands, 1 holding hands, 1 relaxed hands, and 1 tensed up fist. And yeah, obviously you get the chains too that wraps around Kratos' arms. So let's talk about the shield first. The shield is a shield. It's nice, it's got some pretty good details in there. It's got some red on the inside here. Extremely heavily dark washed, that brings out a lot of the detail but makes it very monotone, kind of bad, you know. It doesn't look all that great. This lighting for this thing is doing everything for it, but it's very dull. I really wish there was more of a bright gold dry brushing over it, but either way it's pretty cool. It is magnetic, that's how it sticks onto Kratos' forearms. Same with the closed shield version. You know, they do stick together pretty strongly, I might add. You'd want it to be strong considering that it's you know, goes on his forearm and stays there. Then we've got the smaller version, and I am extremely disappointed with this because I was kind of hoping to display with it. Unfortunately, it is way oversized, way too big, and the detail on it lacks quite a bit. Same thing, very heavily washed and no dry brushing over it, which is very unfortunate. I kind of wish that it didn't have this feature where it was so heavily washed. What I mean by wash is there's this type of technique that you use where you water down a black or a brown or any sort of color and you paint over the top of it and wipe back any excess paint. Because it is water-based, it's easily, you know, distributed through the water and has this kind of wash. So you put it over and it seeps into all the cracks and all the details, and then when you wipe it back, it leaves the natural paint forward as well as have the lines, the crevices all in that specific color you washed it in. Unfortunately, they overwashed it. I think that's a big case in this entire figure, to be honest, where they overwashed a lot of things so that the details kind of brand or blemish altogether rather than have that pop from dark to light or light to dark. Anyway, same deal with that. These guys are pretty much the same. Let's move on to the Blades of Chaos. And these guys are freaking awesome. I absolutely love the sculpt on the Blades of Chaos. They are near perfection. So you do have some red / browny, earthy red smearing the top of it. People speculate either it's rust or it's dry blood, but considering that these blades are indestructible and it has that through the God of War books read by Mimir, they are indestructible, so I doubt there'd be rust, but you know, I kind of like the the idea that they've been sitting under his floorboards that long that they have rusted a slight bit. These are done beautifully. I love the sculpt on them. Unfortunately, I feel like they could have done a little bit better. I feel like the blade itself needs to be slightly darker, and same with the skull. If it was similar to this tone, it might be a bit better, but those crevices and details through there kind of don't really show that well when the wash and dry brush isn't done properly. The cracks through it is very well detailed. The handle, the chains are just regular chains. There's nothing too grand about them. I do like the fact that you get both. There was an option to get, I think it was the luxury edition or deluxe edition, I'm not entirely sure, where you get the completely upgraded versions of the blades as well as the Leviathan axe. Though I would like the Leviathan axe at the maximum upgrade through the game, but the Blades of Chaos, I stay partial to the original designs, which I absolutely love. So much that I actually started making my own ones. Maybe one day I'll put something up on the video. The Leviathan axe is done beautifully, same kind of deal, very detailed. Very, very detailed. I really do like all the carvings through the head, the axe hand, the axe head, even just the little details through there with the knot work. Obviously the runic special moves that you can use. The dragon looks great. The wrappings look awesome. I think the wrappings could have been a little bit lighter just to have that difference from the dark wood. I know that this is quite dark, but where the wrappings cross over at the top and the bottom, they kind of blend together. So that still looks really nice. The washi is done really well on this because of all those cracks and carvings through it all. Looks amazing. I guess the only problem that I have with this is the fact that the little circles around the triangle and the diamond shape should be gold. I don't think they would ever do that because it is tiny as hell, and I'm okay with that. And this middle circle on top here should be gold too. I don't have a problem with it. It's just the fact that those details would make it pop a little bit more, you know. And the other problem I have is the fork down here is meant to be the end game result. I know that there are two versions of the Leviathan axe. One, I guess, beta and one alpha from the game. One has pretty much three little dimples like this, and the same kind of look to it, but it also has this fork. In the original game, it's like two-headed dragon. Brock and Cindery's branding is there, but it's kind of the wrong branding. I'll pop a picture up here showing you what the brand is meant to look like in the game. Also with this one, I love this axe so much that I ended up making my own axe, which you will see in the beginning of this video. Me shouting boy. Alright, let's get to the hands. So the hands are well painted. I do like the fact that they had this dark edging there. But the only problem I have is they're kind of different colors, aren't they? Not too sure how well they show up on camera, but like these two are the same color, but then these two here are different colors, which is one's lighter and one's darker or more ashen, which is very strange. But the leather wrappings look good. I do like them. Very stiff hands, very rubbery, so you won't break anything putting the axe or the Blades of Chaos in his hand, or even the blade. The blade is done really well. You barely see it in the game, but it's there and it looks great. It looks very crudely forged, very rough hammering skills over there. I know Kratos made it, and I assume that he would use anything that would work. I assume he would use anything to make this blade properly, as long as the blade is tempered properly and strong. I don't think he would care how much it looks like. But there are runic marks carved in the handle, which look really nice. In the book, it does describe that it was Greek decorations on it, rather than runic circles. But either way, it looks awesome. Then you have the sheath that looks really nice. You can tell that it's two bits of leather stitched together with a seam line down the whole thing, which looks really nice. Got some knot work through it. Very cool. The knife just slides very easily in and out there. And then it's got a small hook to hook it onto his belt. This is done nicely. I think that the gold button here is maybe washed a little bit too much. Too dark of a wash on there, but it looks nice. Same thing, little hooks on the side here to hook it on. Pain in the ass, because when you're setting him up, I think you have to set him up and then hook these on because it just keeps falling off. Nice little stitch work on the edge. Nothing too much, nothing too grand. The pouch with the ashes look really nice. I do like the fact that there's that gold lace through it all. Looks really, really cool. I do like that. It doesn't open. I'm glad that they made this a sculpt rather than a real little bag. Same with this bag here, the pouch, purely because I don't think you could get the same look as the game. Let's talk about the portraits. I love these guys, but there are a few issues and we will go through them together. Here we have the stone face Kratos. No emotion, nothing but brooding awesomeness. Then we have the screaming / lunging or any sort of anger that we always know Kratos to have inside of him. And then we have Mimir, which is one of the best NPCs I have ever seen in any game. Let's go through it together. Unfortunately, his whole head doesn't kind of fit, but anyway. I do like this head sculpt. I was so excited the fact that you could have Mimir on his belt and kind of in his hand with the sculpted rope there. So you can have him Kratos holding him up, which is really nice. Yeah, I love this portrait. It's done so well. I do think there is a few hit and misses, but as you can see, he has the one gold eye, the one vacant eye socket. Strange though, they still gloss that eye even though there's not meant to be anything in there. The eye socket is painted and sculpted pretty good, and then obviously you got the tattoos on his forehead and pretty much his whole head. You know, the ropes look nice. They're painted well. I do like that. Looks very well done. The beard is pretty good too. I might put a little bit of white through it, a little bit more, just to have that, you know, old man beard. Even the tattoos on his mouth here, his lower lip, look amazing. I do like that. I think they did really well with Mimir. I feel like the gold on his horns could have been done a little bit better. It's meant to be like almost like the Blades of Chaos kind of gold, but a little bit of a miss, as you can see there on the pommel. Either way, it's really nice. I do like the details that they added in there, and the tattoos on his head here are actually sculpted in, which is very well done. I'm really happy about that. And here we have the screaming Kratos. All Kratos does is scream at everything, except for this game. But they did really well in this head sculpt. I think there is a little bit of a hit and miss in the paint apps of his beard, and the fact that his mouth is a matte rather than a shine, which, you know, if it's wet it should be shiny. But they got the eyes quite nicely. The eyebrows are a little bit thick, and that's the same with the stone face portrait. But it still looks really good. I do like it. The head is a nice shape to it. The top looks really strange though. Weird pointed back head here. It looks really nice. I do like the way they did the scar. And the wrinkles look amazing on his face. Really do like that. The beard is sculpted well. I still feel like if they brought these sides a little bit closer in and maybe pointed out his beard just that little bit more, I feel like they would have done a better job. And look, you can see his top teeth there. It's weird how they chose not to trim his beard just that little bit, or his mustache just that little bit, to have his teeth showing. It still looks really nice. I'm happy with this head sculpt. There's just something off about it, and we'll talk about that soon when we do a comparison to the stone face Kratos. Stone face Kratos, or he's just straight up not amused. Looks really nice. Same deal with the other one. This one also has that weird white, kind of like when they were painting his skin, they went over the hair just that little bit. It's weird though, like the technology is so strange. I'm not too sure if it's the same on your device that you're watching this on, whether it be a computer, phone, tablet, whatever. It plays up a lot more vivid on the camera than it does in person. It's a lot more washed out, which is strange. But as you can see, it looks really nice. The wrinkles look good. The nose looks good. Same with the head sculpt, or the shape of the head, etc., etc. The beard is significantly lighter than the Screaming Kratos, which is kind of sucky, but you know, I think this one looks a little bit better on the beard than the very light brown. I still think the beard should be black rather than a brown, and obviously like from the front this is sculpted just a little bit extra to this one so it doesn't hinder any articulation, which is still really nice. I was talking to my fiance about it and I was just like, you know what, I figured it out. I figured out why this one just looks that little bit off. His nose, the Screaming Face nose, is like wider than the Stone Face Kratos, which is crazy. I'm not too sure if that has anything to do with the digital sculpt or whatever, but it's very different. Like even from the top view, you can see that one is wider than the other. And I don't think that really happens when, you know, you contort your face like that. I don't think that really happens all that much, where your nose goes wider. Maybe the nostrils flare out more, but the tip, you can definitely tell the difference between the tips of the noses there. Either way, I'm happy with both of them. The real problems I have are with the things that I mentioned before, with the paint applications as well as the pelt being a bit off. Alright, here are the legs and feet area. Nothing much going on down here. It is a 3-piece section where there are the knee pads, the calf wraps, or material wraps, and then the feet. I'm pretty sure they did that for movability in between the legs and the ankles, which is a really good move. So the knee pads and the calf pad or wraps are like a molded rubber, and then the feet are a molded plastic. It's a hard plastic. And then these guys are just like rubber, so they move quite nicely. I think they did that purposefully so it looks nice, as well as it has a lot of movement, stretching, etc. Just in case you needed it for the articulation, you know. The paint looks really good. It just looks like leather. Material wraps and the leather wraps look really nice. Nicely painted. Looks very much like material and leather. So that's really good. Shoes do too. Pretty much the same kind of deal. Dark colors with some lighter brown airbrushing. The detail in the shoes is what really brings out that leather look, which is pretty much what you need. The paint apps to the lower part of his feet look great, you know, nothing to run home to, but it's definitely what you want from the game details. Alright, here we have the midsection. Unfortunately, I had to reposition him because this Mondo flimsy ass base didn't hold him properly and he went toppling over. I had to take off all his accessories as well, just because they kept falling off, and with him mysteriously falling over all the time, I decided to take them off just in case they get damaged too. Very, very well detailed. You can see all the different kind of Celtic knots going through with some gold paints and stuff like that going through it. It looks really nice. The loincloth looks awesome with the Greek style tassels. I still have the pouch. Belt goes all the way across with these string or laced up areas here that you can see that all the other accessories hang off, which is pretty awesome. The loincloth over here too looks really nice. Pretty good all around, you know. I do like the mixed media belt and the sculpted belt too. Some of the gold highlights look a little bit flat, as well as the metal buckles. They look a little bit flat, but it's not that bad and not that great. You know, it's a mix between both. I do like the actual stitching through the loincloth. That is really, really cool. The fact that the belt goes through and loops around exactly like the game, really well done. They could have just sculpted this, but they didn't. I like the fact that they didn't. They did a good mixture between mixed media and sculpted media, which is awesome. Really, really like the fact that they did that. Not much else to say. I wish that they maybe burnt the edges of the loincloth a little bit, just to make it look like it's not just been cut out, and maybe do the inside over here a little bit. You don't really see it, but those kinds of details I admire a lot. Maybe add different shading through the belt buckle here too. Other than that, it's really cool. Got some sculpted detail of the stitching on the top there. I'm pretty sure the stitching is meant to be white. The other figures that I have and statues that I have of Kratos, all the stitching is white. But either way, it still looks pretty cool. I do like that. Really, really do like that. Alright, here we go. Blades of Glory and all. So this is obviously the top half of him. There's going to be a lot on this part because there's a lot of issues / good and bad. But let's go through that together. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the body. I have to applaud Mondo for the body. It's really well done and horribly done, if that makes any sense. So what I mean by that is they resculpted the entire body, which is cool. I'm not too sure about the lower half, but obviously the entire top part needed to be sculpted, purely because it's a new body, and the fact that Kratos is always shirtless for some stupid reason, even in the snow, he is resculpted, which is cool. As well as the scars and his rough skin texture that he had in the game needed to be sculpted in, or painted in, depending on who you ask, I suppose. But as you can see, there's a midsection there where I don't really think they needed it, but it's there. I'm partially, like, I wouldn't use it, I don't think, unless I tilted him slightly more this way. But even then, it's very stiff and I kind of want the tattoo to line up. Other than that, it's like, I don't think it's needed, but you know, it's welcomed, whatever. Nothing too crazy about that. And then you've got the muscles, which look really good. The anatomy is great, and then you've also got the scar across his stomach there. And yeah, the skin, I'm not too sure if you can see it very well. It has this really rough texture to it. That is very accurate to the game. I think they went a little bit overboard. It looks more like a gritty sand kind of look than anything else. The problem with that is, I think the best way to talk about this section is the fact that his head is very smooth. It still has a little bit of a gritty feel to it, but it's still quite smooth, as well as his shoulder. So those elements stand out to his chest area. But it's only really the top half here, and obviously the back part here, that has that rough texture, you know? The color of the skin looks pretty cool. It's a little bit washed out. That's going to pop up a lot in this review, is that a lot of these elements are washed out, very gray rather than a white or skin tone. They had a bit of all three elements in the game, which is pretty cool. They had white, skin tone, and a gray. I'm not too sure where they were going with it, but honestly, I don't mind. I'm just pretty pumped that they finally have a 6-scale God of War Kratos. So I'm going to give that a slight pass. You know, it's cool. I don't mind. Yeah, and then obviously you have these scars on his forearms here, which I have to say is awesome. The fact that you can take off his hands. They actually had this hidden detail where you take the bandages off and you have his actual singed, scarred skin from the chains of the Blades of Chaos, where they were fused to his very arm, you know. I love that they put that in there. Same skin color as the grey, but they just had this pinkish red dry brush over it, which, you know, came out pretty cool. Not that you'd ever display it without the wraps. Alrighty, let's get back to this guy. Alright, so now we'll talk about the clothes and the armor. The armor looks good. Obviously you can see some nice sculpted details through the strap across his chest, some rivets and some knot work through there. Looks nice, looks good. Looks like leather. Maybe a little bit color difference would have been nice in the stitching here. I think that would have looked a little bit better. Maybe extending this bottom half just that little bit so there's no gap, which you don't see in the game at all. Looks nice. The cross stitching looks good. I wish they colored that band just a little bit different, just to break it up a bit, you know. The paint does leave it a little bit wanting. The strap obviously goes all the way through. Nice work there. I love the fact that they had this here, and yes, it does actually carry the Leviathan axe, which is cool. Nice twisted detail through there. Looks really nice. Strap goes all the way at the bottom there, and then you've got this bottom strap here. Same kind of deal, nothing too crazy. Then we have the pelt, and I absolutely hate it. It's one of the worst things on this figure. I'd say it is the worst thing on this figure. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it at all. I highly dislike it. Really dislike it. But as you can see, it's got this cut off section here. The flap is obviously folded over this strap here. And it is separate from this here, which is nice. I do like that. The only problem with that is it's hard to really line it up properly because they both move differently. And because they're made out of different materials makes it difficult to line it up properly to have the strap going straight through the middle of the pelt. The skin on the back here is too stiff. It is like glued into place, but it's very stiff and it just looks like a 6-scale carpet that he folded back, you know. It doesn't look good at all. Let me get a close-up of that. Like, look at that. It's just carpet, you know. It doesn't look like leather at all. It doesn't look like a skin at all, which is very disappointing. And then you've got this bit here, this fluffy stuff. It's not meant to be curly. It's meant to be like straight bear hair or something. And then it also looks like that sponge, like the green part of the sponge, the rough part of the sponge that usually gets all the grease off. It doesn't look good at all. I really dislike it. I feel like they really could have done a much better job. Even if they sculpted it, I think they could have done a better job. I understand that that would have hindered a lot of movability. Yeah, other than that, the armor looks nice. You know, I do like it. Very reminiscent of the game. Perfect almost. Well, not perfect, but it's there. It's there. The wrist looks nice. This one looks great. It looks like real material. There's a bit of a seam line, but the different wrappings through it really break up that white look with the wash over it. Looks nice. This is a bit different. This leaves a little bit of wanting. It's just all like a dark color. It comes out a lot better on camera than it does in person. I think that's just because I have this LED blaring light on it. But the silver is very black. It's very dark. You can't even tell the difference between some of the rivets that are in there. You can just see them due to the flickering light on those little sculpted details. But other than that, you can't really tell they're there. And then you obviously got the brown leather. The leather that they had going through here that's binding it all together, I feel like they should have definitely changed it up a bit just to make it that little bit different color and breakup, kind of similar to the other one. It's okay, it's mass produced, I suppose, and can't do too much that you want. Right, so let's talk about the tattoo. That tattoo is way too small. It's even a different shape. I think that it kind of goes down here. Just a slight point on his bicep here. Just that ever slight point, and that swirl needs to be thicker. Almost as thick as this here. I think they went more safe than sorry, and I can appreciate that. But at the same time, it does look off, but not that off. So I'm honestly happy with it. I don't mind. That's just a pet peeve of my own. All right, so here comes out the washed look. Again, it really does make a difference, the fact that I have this bright light on it. But it really is a very washed out figure. It's a very dark grey, brown, black kind of look to it as a whole. I don't mind completely, but I'm not overly impressed either. I think the red on the tattoo would have been better if they broke that up just a little bit more. Maybe have a little bit more of a silver sheen to most of the buckles and maybe the gold as well. And obviously I spoke about the beard, how it should be more of a black than a brown. Again, that just adds to the rest of the brown on this figure, so I think there might be a little bit too much brown. Leaves the paint just wanting just a little bit more. A lot of the issues I have are mostly to do with the paint, to be honest. Like, the sculpt is pretty decent. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's almost spot on, but it's just the paint. The paint really leaves it lacking. Okay, he also has no neck, like, at all. It goes into, I think it's called a tricep. I don't know what the muscle is called, but this muscle up here, it just goes straight from that into his head. I actually displayed it like this for a while. Well, when I first got him, I displayed it like this. So I just took his head off, just placed it, just like that. And it just seems that much better, you know? It doesn't look nice from the back at all, but considering that I display them back to the wall, I don't mind. It's not necessarily a 3D cabinet where you look all the way around. But just the fact that you lift up his head just that little bit, This here isn't so close, and it looks like he has a neck, which looks nice compared to this. It's very, very different. Also, the strap broke straight out of the box. You can see that there is some white marks from the glue that they use. I usually get that kind of white thing from a plastic and material after you glue it with super glue. I'm not too sure what glue they were using, but it seems like it might have been a cheap glue. And I was, it's an easy fix. You don't see it all that much either, but it's just like straight out of the box. I'm gonna look up a few reviews after this. I don't like to watch reviews before I do my own reviews because it might taint my opinion about it. But yeah, I'm gonna see if some of those have the same issue. Also, this fucking stand, this damn stand sucks. I dropped this guy like 3 times before this review, and one of them is during the review. I'm sure I'll put that up. No paint applications, nothing. Fuck. I had to replace the stand with a Hot Toys stand because this is a hook, yes, but the Mondo version was just like a slight tilt, and it just didn't support how heavy this figure is. Like, he's much heavier than most. And I was very disappointed with that. Then you also have like these marks here. Well, not marks, but the fact that they aren't painted just kind of stands out a little bit, The seam line I can deal with because it's a movable figure. The seam line on the biceps I can deal with too, but those are just plain white. I don't understand that. Well, I do. They did that purely because they didn't want any paint chipping or flaking or paint scuffs or anything like that. But at the same time, it's just like, maybe they should have just done something. Just that little bit extra might have helped. And then fresh out of the box, he was a very tight figure. All his joints was very, very tight. And unfortunately, the seam here is very shrunken. You can see here, there's paint marks just there because of that, unfortunately. Alright, you made it through the end of the video. Thanks for watching. But let's give my honest opinion now. Is this guy worth getting or not? Yes, I do think he is worth getting. I do love this guy. I love the character. I love the game. And he's a great representation of that. The only problem with it is he falls a little short of the standard 1/6 scale Hot Toys or 3/0, or whatever you guys like to collect. He would be better with more care. And I am an artist myself, which I do recreate figures. I paint them, I repaint them, I sculpt better parts, I recreate some material parts. I've done a 1/4 scale NECA Kratos once before, and I think I can fix this guy's problems. But for anybody who doesn't do those kinds of things, you might want to reconsider getting him. Purely because what you see is what you get. And yeah, it's just, there's issues. From a distance, it looks good. It's like, oh wow, he looks great. And then you take a closer look, actually look at the parts, the materials, and you're like, there's a lot of flaws. So you do get your money's worth, but also not get your money's worth. Like during this video, I dropped him like 3 times, purely because of this freaking stand. The standard, almost just slightly curved stand. I had to replace it with one of the Hot Toys stands where it actually cups low rather than just cups quite high. And because of that, I dropped him, and some scuff marks happened because of that. Hold on, let me just get this. And because he is such a heavy-setted figure, the whole body is re-sculpted, and he is quite heavy compared to a normal 1/6 scale hot toy. He is heavy, and he needs that support. And unfortunately, this Mondo base does not give that support. The base is nice, the weird shape is cool, and the actual like little stand bit here, it looks unique compared to hot toys or any other 6 scale stuff. But this little clip sucks so much, and I'm disappointed with the fact that I dropped him so many times purely because of that. And there are some paint chips and stuff like that because of those issues. I feel like Mondo really dropped the ball there, and so I have more of a gripe on the execution of this figure rather than the distribution of this figure, if that makes any sense. The fact that Mondo is late. I got this guy almost 2 months late. It was like a month and a half. It was meant to come out in August, and I put my pre-order down for August on Sideshow though, not the Mondo website. And Mondo didn't inform Sideshow that it was coming late, so they didn't inform me, which is kind of annoying. And that kind of pissed me off. So I messaged them saying, what's going on? They told me that Mondo hasn't informed them about this figure, so they haven't updated the status of the figure, which I understand, but at the same time, they didn't notify me, and Mondo didn't notify them. So it's just like a big circle of like, what the hell is truly going on? And because of that, like my expectations of this figure, my hype for this figure just kept going up and down, up and down, up and down. And yeah, like that's kind of like my deal with this guy. It's just like so many things went wrong with this figure that kind of taints this review a little bit to have a slightly negative review rather than a normal I love this figure review, as well as the issues with the figure really amplify that too. Overall, I would happily buy this again if I didn't, you know. I would buy it again, and I'm happy that I did get him because I love this character, and this is the most detailed one out of most of the collectibles between NECA, between Sideshow statues, the big 1/4 scale, the small, I think it's like 10th or 12th scale NECA figures, etc, etc. And yeah, I'm happy about this guy, and yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, I really do appreciate it. If any of you have this guy, please let me know in the comments. Like, I want to have a conversation with you because there's a few things in here that I'd love to discuss with you about, like the broken clip or the fact that the little hairs pull out, and you know, etc, etc. Did you have any problems with your base? Did you have any problems with paint chipping on the elbows? Anything like that, please let me know, and like we'll talk about it so I can really discuss if it's just mine or if it is QC issues. Thank you all for watching this video, and please leave a like, please subscribe, you know the whole deal. I'd love your support. But anyway, thank you for watching, and have a good day.